Hey everyone, it's Synth Designer back again with another video. Today I'm going to be showing you a couple of vintage style synth sounds that I created for my newest preset pack called Synthpop Sounds. They're really kind of 80s inspired synth sounds that are really meant to be used for kind of newer synth pop and newer synthwave kind of style sounds. As you hear all over the place now in pop music, this is really kind of making a comeback as it has been for the last several years. So I'm going to play you just a basic pattern I created with some of these sounds, and we're going to kind of just cycle through them and I'll show you how I made them. Of course, these will be available for free at synthdesigner.com very soon. They are from my latest preset pack. If you're not familiar with the channel, I release preset packs for free to everybody, no signups required. This is just the latest preset pack that will be available. So let's just play this sound here, or this pattern, and we're going to hear how this first one sounds, called Magic. And then I'm going to play you a couple more here, and we're going to just cycle through them, and I'll show you a couple other ones. So this one's called Time at the Cinema. And then this last one here is called Saw Heaven. It's a little bit different, not as sustained, but it's a really cool sound as well. So let's get started here with Magic here. And as you can see, it's got a little bit of things going on. So to start off, I'm using this Reese Mess wave table here. And as you might know, Serum is great for a lot of things, including just the crazy wave shapes you could get. And this one in particular, as you can see, I really just experimented all over the place here. I have the ASIM here, the warp menu, and I have the wavetable here. So this was really just kind of a experimental kind of wave shape. And on its own, it sounds a bit like this. So this is really adding the meat of the sound. Without this one, we have a basic saw here, so they complement each other nicely because the saw is really kind of got that high element, and this one has that kind of lower element. And I did turn this level down here just because I didn't want too much of the saw. The other thing is they both have several voices of unison, giving it that nice full sound to it. Taking a look at the envelopes, the first envelope, not fully sustained. It kind of gives you some sustain to it, but it's a little bit plucky too, and that's because this second envelope opens up that cutoff filter. You could hear it's really opening it up there nicely. And I also have this noise oscillator on this chorus. You could hear that noise coming through. That to me gives a nice kind of vintagey kind of character to it too. The LFO's here doing a couple things. So this second LFO is really what's bending this wave shape here. It's also giving us a fine detunement. And then this first LFO, we'll go to the matrix. It's just on the filter cutoff, as you see. Just a little bit, kind of going back and forth slowly. Just to give it a little bit of movement. The effects are pretty simple. A little bit of chorus, reverb, and hyper to give it a little bit more dimension. But overall, a cool sound with a lot of depth to it too. Sometimes I find that Serum lacks a little bit of that depth, but this particular wave shape really kind of gives it a nice depth to it. This next sound, Time at the Cinema, has a little similarity to the last one. Again, I have this one here, this wave shape, complemented by the saw This filthy wave shape here gives it that kind of basis to it, and then the saw is actually that higher kind of harmonic area. Again, this one, what I did was flipped it kind of around here, with the saw being the lower octave here, and this one up 1 octave up. Nice quality to it. Kind of got that higher register to it a little bit more than the last sound that we saw. Again, a noise sound, or a noise oscillator here, this time with our pink. Very similar in terms of envelopes. This time, though, I don't have it closing off as quickly here in terms of the filter cutoff, and I do have a little bit more of this level to the white noise. The other thing you can see here is oscillator B is quite a bit of detunement through the LFO, giving it a little bit more wobble to it as opposed to this one, which has just a little bit. Again, with 5 voices of unison, it's got that nice big wide sound. A little bit less in terms of playing with the wave shapes. Basically kept them standard and nothing through the LFO. Similarly, we have the hyper and chorus, delay, and reverb here. Let's just hear with the pattern again. That white noise really gives it that kind of transient quality to it. Gives it that nice start to it, right? It doesn't come in slowly or subtly. It really kind of bashes in. That's also because of the types of wave shapes we have here that really lend itself to it, and the attack being so low. This last sound is a little bit different. It utilizes all the oscillators here that we have, including the sub oscillator. And it really has that sudden decay to it. It has some sustain, but then it just completely goes off. So it's meant to be used a little bit differently. But as you can imagine, it works really well sidechain too. So if you have a kind of a sidechain sound, it could work really well. Here we have some very unique shapes here, MB Saw and the Matrixy C64. Both of these I experimented with. I really liked it just in this area. Let's hear them on their own here. So very different. This one really has that saw quality, where this one is a little bit different, maybe kind of got that pulse wavy type of sound. Similarly though, as with the last two, the noise adds a little bit as well. The sub, adding a little bit, just a little bit, not too much underlying character, and that's because I didn't feel like either one of these. You can hear they really don't have too much low end, and I want a little bit of a thicker sound. And I didn't make it a very bassy sound by any means, kept it on this default octave, which just adds that kind of mid-low character. Again, bunch of voice of unison. This one's a little bit different though, where I'm not opening up the filter at all. It's staying constant. The LFO here is a little bit different. This one is really meant to be kind of randomy kind of sound. It's still affecting the fine-tunement, but it's not your typical shape. And it's going pretty quickly because the sound isn't sustained either, so we want it to be affecting it. The wave table position is affected here on the saw through this LFO. The effects here, standard again. I have a little bit of compression here. And then some reverb and chorus like previous. So I really like the sound. It's kind of got that vintage saw character. A little bit different in terms of the transients because this envelope, it doesn't have that initial kind of punch to it. Really great saw sound though, and not your typical kind of standard wave shape that you would hear. It's really allowing Serum to show off its versatility here with the various saw wave shape or saw adjacent wave shapes that you can use. But that's it. Again, these are sounds coming up on Synthpop Sounds, which you could download at synthdesigner.com for free. Please let me know what you think of the preset pack when it comes out. I really hope you enjoy it. There'll be 30 unique sounds on it, meant for synth pop, synth wave, all your favorite type of synthy sounds. And if you haven't seen my previous videos, I've shown off a bunch of these sounds, including some of the strings that will be on it, some of the leads, and the keys as well. Hopefully you all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all next time.